This is Dr. Quinlan with Quinlan Chiropractic Clinic from Coppell, Texas, and you're listening to the Dunham Business Radio Show.
Hi there, this is Lori Dunham with Dunham Business Radio. We won the 2019 Gray Bowl Show of the Year. We also got an award for community service, and I can't thank you enough for all of your support. We are on the next level, and we're going higher, and I can't do it without you, and I'm so grateful. Thank you so much, and stay tuned in.
Live from Arlington, Texas, it's the Dunham Business Radio Show. And here's your host, Lori Dunham.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Dunham Business Radio Show. I'm your host, Lori Dunham. I am so happy that you're here. Thank you so much for tuning in and just helping our show to be exactly what it is. And it is a reminder to you that this is my gift to you. This show is a platform that you can use to get your message out to the masses. And I'm very honored to be able to offer that to you. And so thank you for sharing, for liking, for commenting, for just engaging with us. You know, I have to tell you, in the last 30 days, well, actually we look at the analytics about every 28 days, but in that time frame, our numbers have increased. You ready for this? 30%. Yes, our numbers have gone up another 30%, and it's all because of you, all because of what you do. So thank you so much. We've got so much on the horizon. We are just, we're doing amazing things, and I can't tell you about it because it's all, you know, still in the works, but it's so exciting, and I want you to be engaged. So please stay connected with us on Facebook, on YouTube, and through all of our social media platforms, because you want to stay connected. You want to see what we're doing. It's going to blow the roof off. So we might need to bring some roofers on the show, because all your roofs are going to be blown off. That's so ridiculous, but that's the kind of corny jokes you get right here. So I'm really excited to bring on tonight's guest, because she's a personal friend of mine, and she is awesome. You guys are going to love her. She is so smart, so intelligent, and so funny. I have so much fun talking to her and having a great time with her. But so let's just bring her on, right? We'll just jump right in and get started. So our guest tonight, Taryn Calli, she grew up around entrepreneurs. Her mother owned her own business, and for most of her childhood, it inspired her to do the same thing. And in her early years, she actually came upon what was called an accounting trade school. Don't laugh. I know. It's okay. She found it in the newspaper. For those of you who don't know what a newspaper is, stay tuned. She'll tell you. Anyway, she came upon this accounting trade school, and she decided to take the course, and she was trained to be trained in accounting. She did that mostly just for an extra income stream for her and her family. But over the years, she established herself as an expert, because it turned out she was really good at taxes. Who's good at taxes? I don't know, but she is. And she turned out to be awesome at it. And now she's an expert. She became an expert in bookkeeping, accounting, tax planning, and now she's dedicated to helping business owners harness their tax benefits so they only have to pay what they have to. And so please help me make welcome to the show tonight, Taryn Calli. Welcome.
Hi. Boy, those are some big shoes to fill. Thank God I wear a size 11.
That's awesome. Yeah, man, I'm so excited you're on. I know you've waited gosh, at least 6 months to get on the show.
Well, anything worth having is worth waiting for.
Oh gosh, just keep it coming and just, I'm loving it. Well, thank you for taking time. I know you're super busy. The business owners that you work with, they just keep you running, and that's good. So I appreciate you taking the time today to come on and talk all about you. So why don't we jump in? Just tell some folks a little bit more about who is Taryn Calli.
Gosh, that's a whole show all into itself, isn't it? So I'm a mom and a grandma, but yeah, I do have a heart for entrepreneurs and for people who own their own business. You mentioned my mother; she's definitely my role model, and she's an amazing lady, and I hope to be half the woman she is when I grow up. But other than that, I really love what I do. I really feel like you do well in the positions that you have a passion for. And I definitely have a passion for taxes. It's really something I understand. Taxes make sense to me. I know they don't make sense to a lot of people, but, I may not agree with the politics involved in the changes of the tax law. I may not agree with, why or what or when things get changed, like way back in 2017 when things got changed and the tax picture for businesses and for individuals as well, but mainly for businesses, changed so much from 1/1/18 through 2025. That tax change is just huge. For many of us don't remember a tax overhaul that big. Prior to. So, but that's something that I enjoy delving into. I enjoy learning, and my goodness, has there been a lot to learn over the years, from 18 and forward, or 17 even forward. Lots of changes, lots of things, to know, and then to not only know it, but to understand it so completely as to be able to regurgitate it to business owners and individuals who have questions. What does this mean for me? So I always say that an educated client is an amazing client. And so I like to educate my clients. And, when my clients are entrepreneurs that own businesses, they need to understand what the choices they make, how that impacts them. That impacts the bottom line, impacts their tax situation, whatever the case may be. They need to know and to understand, what they're doing.
Yeah.
Accountants, tax accountants, generally, we're generally historians. We record historical data. We record and deal with what happened a year ago, or sometimes a year and a half ago, right? So, so the idea for me, when I'm working with my clients is that I like them to communicate with me what they're doing so that we can handle it in the now instead of in the future, because I can't help you fix it a year from now. I can help you fix it now.
Yeah. So you work with clients side by side as the present moment is going on so that the future looks the way you want it to.
Absolutely.
Profitable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Many CPA firms charge just like a law firm. They charge by the 10th hour, by the quarter hour. They charge by the phone call. They charge, every time you call them, you're going to get a bill. That's not how I like to work. That is not how I like to work. I like to be available and accessible to my clients because I'd rather give you a couple of minutes for free than charge you thousands of dollars to fix your mistake later because you were afraid to call me because you didn't want to get that bill.
Wow. Oh, that's already puts you heads and shoulders above the competition. Let's go back a little bit. What really originally, what attracted you to accounting? Because me personally, if somebody says you need to do accounting or CPA work or work on any numbers, I would rather chew glass. So, what is it that attracted you to the numbers? Is it that numbers never lie and everybody else is, a liar? So you can count on the numbers to be truthful?
Lots of people think when I tell them what I do for a living, that I'm an accountant, they say, oh, you must be good at math. It's not math. It's not math. It's law. So what I do, tax accounting, is, it's 10% law and 90% interpretation of the law. Sometimes I will put a big asterisk on that, for sure.
Right.
Because some of the law is cut and dry and there's no interpretation. It just is what it is. But when I was in college, well, even before that, I didn't enjoy math. I never enjoyed math classes. I'm good at it. I know the basic math. I can tell you, the square foot of this and the, how to figure different things that I use in my everyday life. But I never quite understood, some of the more advanced math. I'm not an engineer, so it wasn't going to be helpful to me.
Calculus and geometry and trigonometry and
it's not appealing to me. I'm not going to use it. So, but when I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. And when I got into more of the business and the accounting class, I took an accounting class and I loved it. I just loved it. Debits and credits made sense. It balanced. It's equal and equal, right? And so that made sense to me. And at that time, we learned with the journals. We had the 5 books, right? The green books with the ledger papers. Yes, I'm old. I admit it. So we had the ledger papers, and we had to, make sure that what you put in this book had to go in that book. It had to go in this book, and it had to go in that book. And it had ticks and ties, and that's so. I understood those concepts. They made sense to me. And I also understood that what made sense to me doesn't make sense to the masses. It's not everybody's cup of tea. And so I thought, this is a great niche. For me at that time, it took me 12 years to finish my degree, by the way.
You did it. You finished.
I did it.
That's a nugget right there. It's like, it doesn't matter where you start or how long it takes,
right?
As long as you finish. And now you can use it to help other people.
Yeah. So I started out, started having babies. I was just 2 weeks shy of my 21st birthday. So I had 4 babies in, 9 years. And I needed a career that allowed me to stay home with my children.
Right on.
And in the early 90s, virtual working, commuting from home, all that wasn't really a thing. Computers weren't really the thing. But I was able to finish my degree, and I took that accounting class that we mentioned, that accounting school. And I was, of course, a top student.
Of course,
Teacher's pet. Teacher's pet. And it was run by a CPA. And so he hired me to come in and do some work for him. And I got my feet wet in the tax, work that way. And that's how I really developed and nurtured my love for tax. And although I didn't want to go the CPA route, I didn't want to go, to that level of education and time and money, being a single mom at that time. Then I was a single mom. Although I didn't want to go that route, I still wanted to do all those things. And so, so that's why I went, the federal licensing instead of the state licensing. And that allowed me to do all the things, to have the license and to move forward in my career in just a little different way, because like I've mentioned to you before, CPA is not always a tax expert, but an enrolled agent is always a tax expert. So tax is my field.
You're an enrolled agent.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so say that again, a CPA
is not
agent.
Right. A CPA is not always. So a CPA is a state designation, and it has education requirements and that sort of thing. And so, so their testing is mainly in financials. So they have to know financials inside and out, upside down and backwards. I have an accounting degree, so I'm pretty good with the financials. I'm really good with the financials. I can't do audits and I can't do reviews. That's only a CPA can do that. But since tax was my focus and tax is what I wanted to do, I don't have to have a CPA to do that. Some CPAs work for big corporate. They're at CFOs and they're controllers, and that's kind of, there's always CPAs in that industry, or in that field. They go more into industry. Many do open a shingle on the, have a office on the street, and you see them when you drive by, CPAs all day long, and they are public accountants. But an enrolled agent is a license provided by the IRS. The IRS tests us and designates us and gives us our license and monitors our continuing education and monitors our annual enrollments. So we have to update our license with that. We have to update what's called a P10, which is a preparer's tax ID number. So lets the IRS track me and the returns that I prepare. So we have to do that. So the IRS is kind of our boss instead of the Texas Society of CPAs or the whichever state society of CPAs. So that's why I say, not all CPAs are tax experts, but all EAs are tax experts. That's what we're tested in. That's what we're licensed in. Yes. We're licensed by the IRS.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting. You wanted to be a lawyer and turned to numbers, and now you're dealing with taxes. I'm wondering, do you have to know a lot about the tax code? I mean, that's law, right? So you have a lawyer's mind, but a mathematician or a numbers practice. So you can kind of put them together as an EA, right? You can do the tax code and put the numbers together too.
Right. It is, we are governed by the IRS. We are, all tax preparers should be, whether they're professional tax preparers or handle a handful of their friends' tax returns every year. They should know the tax code because it does change. Every year there's something that's different and you have to stay on top of that. You have to. Minimally, I have to get 24 hours a year of continuing education, and typically I get more than 100. Wow. And the last 3 or 4 years, that has not been a problem because there's been so much going on and so many changes that I need all of that, just so that I am that well versed whenever anybody asks me a question about any current tax, law or current tax change, that I know how that impacts them, what's been taken away, what's been added, what's changed, what's different, because every year there's something different from the year before.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, I know for me, like somebody says you have to do your taxes, I'm scared, and I guess if a CPA isn't necessarily one that needs to focus on taxes, why is it, do you think, that when we think about tax and having to do our tax returns, the first person we think about is a CPA versus an EA? Is it just that they're not well known?
I believe that's probably the truth. I think it's just that there's not so much marketing for EAs out there. The IRS doesn't market for us by any means. But I think that that's true, that people are just used to seeing that, or their dads, it comes in that, the generations before us were not do-it-yourselfers necessarily, right? They knew that they had to, if they needed some plumbing done, they'd go get a plumber. If they needed some dental work, they'd get a dentist. If they needed their taxes done, they'd get a CPA. So now in our generation, or just this last generation, now you can get TurboTax online. Now every household has at least one laptop. Now everybody thinks they can do everything because the internet says they can.
And we all know the internet doesn't lie.
Right, doesn't lie. It's so easy. TurboTax, TurboTax says all people are tax people, right?
That's right. We can all do our taxes.
That's right.
Right. Yeah.
And that's why most of the returns that I have to fix and deal with the IRS with are do-it-yourself tax returns.
Oh, how fun. They're just building their own hole that you have to come and help fill. So, you guys keep doing your taxes by yourself.
That's right.
And then Taryn is there to clean up the mess.
That's right. When you get the love letter from Uncle Sam, bring it to me. I got it.
But, one of the big things is really, if you're smart and you're running a business, you want to keep your finger on the pulse of all of your analytics, right? All your numbers, everything that you're doing. And that's one of the things that you have a strength in, right? You can help them analyze the numbers so that they're taking the proper action, right?
Right. Exactly.
So you're a partner, if you will. You stand shoulder to shoulder, making sure that the decisions that are being made make sense for the business.
Exactly.
And that they're not going to get burned by that decision when it comes to the tax code later, right?
True. Yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan. That's where I go back to where I like to educate my clients. When new things come out that I know are going to appeal to them or apply to them rather, I will either have a conversation, call them up, send them an email, or, I might send a little bit of a group email, but I don't do mass emails, but I will pass along the information whenever, something changes or that's pertinent to them, or, I read an article even sometimes. Of course, those articles are also on my website, but whenever I read an article that I think would appeal to them, or that applies to something that they're going through or something that they ask me about, I'll shoot it over to them.
So what are some of the common pitfalls, or even some of the common questions that you get as an EA that you can answer that maybe a CPA can't?
There's probably nothing that I get asked that a CPA can't answer. Because, the CPAs are required to also get the continuing education. They're also required to, if they're in public accounting, they have to stay up with, with other, with all the tax laws and tax change. If they are in public accounting and they've hung their shingle that they do taxes, they're tax professionals. I mean, certainly they are. And I don't mean to diminish a CPA in any way, shape, or form. I think that the ones that I have worked with in the past, the thing about it is that there aren't as many new people going into the industry. So the industry tends to be an older set of individuals.
Okay.
And it's very hard for us, because of the nature of our work, the kinds of people that we are. I mean, I happen to have a personality, not all of them do, but we do tend to be a little bit of a control freak and a little bit set in our ways. We're a little bit OCD, and and that's not a bad thing, especially in our industry, right?
Right.
So it's sometimes hard for us to change. I embrace technology. I love technology, but I also have to make sure that when technology isn't working, that I still can, right?
Right.
So, so many CPAs that I've worked with in the past, if they're over, 50 plus, they tend to have a kind of an old school mentality where it's the way, it's your daddy's CPA. It's the shoebox accounting. It's, just bring it to me so I can charge you thousands and thousands of dollars, kind of thing. So, so I think that the difference for me personally is that, for one, I specialize in businesses and their owners. That's my specialty. Some CPAs might specialize in high income individuals. They may not specialize in businesses. I don't know. Because of the control freak aspect, I don't know how to sugarcoat that. But because of that, they tend to have a hard time letting go of some of the tasks. So they want to do it all themselves. So what happens there is that a lot of businesses are paying the $250 an hour CPA rate versus something that's more flexible and easier for them, for their businesses to maintain, because I think there's a lot of fear in the cost. What's it going to cost me? What's it going to cost me to have you help me? There's a lot of fear in that, right? Yeah. So, so I like to work with businesses in wherever they are. If they need training so that they can do it themselves, if they need to do it themselves and have me look at it once a quarter, twice a year, once a year, that kind of thing, just to keep them on track, I'll train them as I go. And the idea is that next year, their books are really, really clean because they understand it. They understand what they're supposed to do. And then at that point, if they have a bookkeeper that's a $20 an hour bookkeeper, I'll still look over it and it'll still save them money. They get the $20 an hour bookkeeper, because I'm not $20 an hour. I'm going to tell you right now. They get the $20.
So.
Right. And then I'll look over it and then make sure that the books are clean going forward. So again, it goes back to, an educated client is a good client. And also I like to work in the way that Entrepreneurs are very creative people. They're very creative people. They really are.
I would attest to that. If you saw my books, you would say she's really creative.
Really creative, right? I've seen some really creative books. Yes, I have. But, you're an expert in the things that you do.
Yeah.
I can't do the things you do. That's, this. I can't do the things you do, right? That's why I have you do them.
Exactly. I'm the same way.
Yes. And so we need to learn to stay in our lane, and we need to learn to understand and to be cognizant of, this is my lane. This is what I'm good at. This is what I need to do, and narrow it down to 1 or 2 lanes. Don't try to take on a, 8-lane highway of everything that you think you can, throw on the wall and make some money at, because you won't make money at any of those things.
Yeah.
If you're that spread out, your things have to make sense. They have to work together.
Yes.
You're international. International is a thing for you. So international business is a thing for you. It makes sense when you add international features, international offerings. It makes sense. That makes sense for Lori Dunham. It wouldn't make sense for me to try to do a million other things. It doesn't make sense, because accounting is my bag. Tax is my bag. This is what I do. And I'm really good at what I do because I've always focused on my bag, my lane right here.
Yeah.
So
you keep getting better and better and better. Yeah, for sure. So, you mentioned entrepreneurs and staying in their lane. And, I think too, sometimes, in fact, many, many times, entrepreneurs start a business, shoestring budget, can't afford the professionals. They have to wear all these different hats. And a lot of the things we don't always know everything about. We know just enough to get through, either get through the day or enough to be dangerous. Like I can fill out an Excel spreadsheet. This is what I spent. This is what came in. This is where I'm negative, or positive, and that's the bulk sometimes of many entrepreneurs' books. I mean, it's an Excel spreadsheet.
Sure.
At least they're tracking it, right?
Right.
And other times they have to wear hats of, okay, marketing, okay, HR, and I think there is something to be said of valuing having a professional on your team, that you don't pay them an hourly rate. They're not an employee, but they are critical to your business. You've got to have professionals that really care about your business. They're not in it for the money, right? They really have a vested interest in whether or not you're successful. And entrepreneurs who really recognize the value of having that professional, those are the people that would actually benefit from working with you, right? More than somebody else just who hung up a shingle.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And that's one thing, with when my clients work with me, I work with them to find out what their style is, because, you mentioned the Excel spreadsheet works for you. There are other tools out there that work better for other people. Maybe it's an app on their phone that works best for them. So maybe it's absolutely not an app on their phone that's going to work for them. Maybe it's paper. Maybe they're very visual people and they have to see it on paper. Maybe they need an accounting office that works with their idea of dumping. They come and they dump all their mail, they dump all their stuff. Some people are like that. So I need to work with each client to find out what their personality type is when it comes to how they're going to handle their accounting office. I can set up a beautifully organized, this is what we do with every document that comes in. This is how your, let's say, QuickBooks looks like. And this is, let's get it all set up and have all these charts of accounts so you can track all these things in the classes and the locations and do all. If you're not going to do it, there's no point in paying to have all that set up. There's no point in it.
Right.
And you can get to the very same spot at the end of the day by doing it the way that's going to work for you, the way that you will work it. If you're not going to work it, it's not going to work. Right.
Right.
So, so that's one of the things that, one of the values that I bring to working with my clients and working with me is that we work the way that works for you. We'll get it all done the same way, but we'll do it in a way that because if I set up all these fancy systems and you don't get me the information, then I'm frustrated, you're frustrated, we're all frustrated, and the taxes don't get done.
That's right.
That's
right. So let me ask a burning question I think all entrepreneurs are asking. But before I do, I want to remind you, if you've got questions or comments for Taryn, please drop them in the box down there, right there, the comments right down there. She's going to be monitoring the box over the next couple of days. I know she wants to engage with you. And you know what? You might need an EA on your team, right? You might need a tax professional that understands the tax code and has a vested interest. And Taryn has the bandwidth to take on more clients. So be sure to put your information in there, ask your questions, make your comments. I don't want to go down the line of horror stories, but, I want to ask about receipts. Now, in the day and age of everything's electronic, your bank statements, everything you spend, as soon as you spend it, it's deducted from your checking account. We have online statements, online portals, profiles. How important are paper receipts, like when you go to a restaurant or when you pay an invoice by check, whatever that is,
Tax?
What's a check, but when you're given a paper receipt, how important is it that we keep those with our records? And should we just make sure it's in our register or on our credit card statement and be done with it? Is that enough?
No.
No, that's darn. Oh, darn. I was hoping you'd say, yeah, it's all fine. Don't
sure. That's all right. Just make up the numbers, It's like that show, where the mileage doesn't matter and the receipts are made up.
Wait a minute. That's like Whoopagon, and it has nothing to do with what you just said.
Right. So it depends. Okay. That's like our standard answer in tax. When you ask me a question, I'm going to say it depends.
Man.
But here's what it depends on, right? So depends on what the receipt is for. Is your credit card statement enough of a record? No, because I can go to Walmart and buy my groceries, or I can go to Walmart and buy my office supplies. And just the fact that it says Walmart on my credit card statement doesn't tell the IRS what I did, right? So I have to have the receipt. Now, do I have to have it in paper? No, you can scan it into your computer. And there's lots of little handy dandy little scanners you can put on your desk and zip those receipts into them if that's what you're into. If not, you can just write on the receipt what it was for, circle the amount. I would pen in the amount underneath, because I know that if you leave a receipt out for too long, it turns into white paper, right?
Right.
So I just write all over the receipts, yes, and then throw it in your whatever system we set up for you to keep your
shoebox.
Yeah, I try to stay away from the shoe boxes, but I have something similar to a shoebox if that's the route you like to go. So if it is for charitable reasons, if it's charity, if it's more than $250, you have to have a receipt. You cannot deduct it if you don't have a receipt. Okay, and that receipt has to say that there was no in-kind donation, that it wasn't a trade for something, that it was a true donation. For example, if you were to purchase at an auction tickets to a Broadway play, okay, you paid $200 for them, they were worth $50. Your donation's $150. It's not $200, because you got the value of $50 of going to a Broadway show, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So if it's you're handing cash to the church, you're handing cash to a charitable organization, or writing one of those mystical checks, then you have to have a receipt from them, and they'll send you a receipt back saying, thank you for your donation. No goods or services were provided, blah, 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 blah. That's standard verbiage on, every receipt. If you're going out to eat, if you're going to a meal, if you and I want to go to dinner to talk about marketing or your show or whatever the case may be, we have to have 5 things on that receipt. That receipt has to say who, I'm with Lori Dunham, why, We're discussing her tax planning for 2020 because it's been an amazing, awesome year. For 2025, it was absolutely incredible and it blew up, and now she's a millionaire. So we have to.
I receive it.
That's right. So we have to say why. We have to say where. We went to, Outback, and when, the date, where, the time. Those are usually on the receipt. They're like stamped in, Outback, time, date. And then we have to put how much. So those are the things that have to be on your receipt, all those things. If your meal was less than $75, and if you're with me, we had several glasses of wine, it won't be less than $75.
I was just thinking most of my receipts are less than 75, unless I start hanging out with you, then
right.
Whole nother story.
Exactly. So if it's less than $75 and it's a meal, you don't have to have the receipt, but you still have to have all those things. Meaning you have to put it in your day planner. In your day planner, we went to dinner. This is what we did. This is why, when, where, and why, what, right? It has to be written somewhere. It has to be documented somewhere, but you don't have to have the physical receipt if it's less than $75 for a meal, If it's $75 on a printer paper and staples, whatever, you have to have that receipt. So.
Oh my God. My head.
I know all these rules.
Oh my goodness, all these rules. And see, you're a pro. I mean, you're just spitting this off the top of your head. I mean, that's why it makes you the expert here. And I just I have a shoebox of receipts, and I collect them in my wallet until I can no longer close the zipper on my wallet.
Yep.
And then I take them out and I put them in my shoebox, and I sort them at the end of the year, or I don't know.
I'll show you an easier way to do that. It's similar, but more organized.
I will tell you, in my early years when I was a control freak, that I used to have a Pendaflex, a little skinny Pendaflex that had the months, and I was very diligent. I would type it into my little register and I'd put them in. But that was before I became a business owner and absolutely went crazy every single day with activity. That was when I had time, I had my mind, and I had nothing else better to do but to put receipts in order in the Pendaflex.
Right.
Now, as a business owner, I don't have time for that. I need a professional on my side, on my team, and I'm calling you right after this show's over.
Fabulous. We'll get you organized.
Yes. So
what else do you want to know?
What?
I can talk to you all. I said, what else do you want to know? I can talk to you all day long about things. I would be careful of business use of the home. Talk with your tax professional about that one before you do it.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
That's a big one.
Let's talk about that a little bit, because that's kind of where we are. Everybody is working from home, and thanks to the fantastic virus that went through the whole world last year in 2020, right? Thanks to that, now here we are working remotely. So what do we do?
Well, the plus and the minus of that is that a lot of businesses realized that they could work from home. That their employees could work from home and be effective. That's one of the good things that came out of that, was this working virtual thing has become a real thing now. Whereas before it was like, oh, wow, you're so lucky you get to work at home. And now it's like, that's kind of the norm, right? So if they are a W-2 employee, and I know that our audience is not typically, or they have their side job and, maybe they have both going on. If they're a W-2 employee, they cannot write off their home office, at least through 2025. The current rule goes through 2025. After 2025, we don't know what's going to happen. But currently, we cannot use what's called employee unreimbursed business expenses. That is no longer a thing as of 1/1/2018. That's when it changed. It's not a thing from 18 through 25. So, but if you own a business and you have exclusive use space in your home that you use just for your office space, you can use the business use of the home deduction. You can take that deduction. Now, here's the thing that most people don't know. What you have done is you have turned a portion of your personal assets into a business asset. Okay. Business assets are depreciated. And when you sell business assets, you have to recapture the depreciation in the form of capital gains. So if you own your home, if you're renting, it's really simple. Okay, we don't have to go through a whole lot of stuff if you're renting, because you can still take the same deduction and everything else. You don't have the depreciation, so you're losing a little bit of money every year that way, but you don't have anything you have to pay back. You don't have to pay taxes on, rather. The space does have to be exclusive use. You cannot use it for your sewing room, your guest room, and your office. It can't all be one space. It has to be just your office. If the whole bedroom is just your office, or bedrooms, or a living area and your bedroom, or whatever the case may be, is just your office. If you see clients there on a regular basis, it's definitely an office, right? So if it is, you have two methods. There's two methods to taking the business home office deduction. One is where you take the square footage of your entire house and the square footage of your office space, and all of the expenses to maintain your home are deducted in that percentage. So let's say it's 10% of your home is your office, then 10% of your utilities, your electricity, your water, your gas, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. 10% are deductible. Also, 10% of the value of your house, 10% of the value of your home is depreciated. It's deducted over 39 years right now. That's the current tax law for commercial property. So you're taking a depreciation every year. If you plan on selling your house in the near future, or ever, really, even 10 years from now or 5 years, if you know you're going to sell your house, I don't recommend it unless you're prepared to pay capital gains on that depreciation amount that you've taken every single year, because you have to take the capital gains. A couple of years ago, when they changed things so that when you go to sell your house, you actually have a document now that you have to tell the title company, have you ever taken the business deduction in your home? You have to check yes or no under perjury,
Wow.
Yeah. So you have to tell them. If you tell them, yes, I have taken the business deduction in my home, they will send you what's called a 1099-S. It's a tax form. When they send you this form for the full amount of cash that you got out of your home. Okay. Now we all know a personal residence, there's a portion of that is tax-free. When you sell your personal residence, you don't have to pay taxes on a portion. For a single person, that's $250,000. For a married couple, it's $500,000. So if you don't have to, pay taxes on that, but you do have to pay taxes on the portion that was related to the office. Now, to get away from that, if you know, for example, you're going to move in 2 years and you're going to move into your forever home in 2 years, then you can take instead something called a simplified method. The simplified method is $5 for every square foot. So if it's 100 square foot, it's $5 times 100. That's your deduction. There's no depreciation. There's no calculating your utilities. There's no additional math involved. It's just $5 per square foot. And if you take that method, you can take that method every single year and never have to pay capital gains when you sell your house.
And so you can do the simplified even if you're renting. That's just kind of the easy way to do it.
You can, but I would say that if you're renting, I would probably take the larger amount. Probably, I would, because you don't have that cap gains that you have to pay back. So.
Right. Okay. So if you're not renting, but you're going to sell your house, then just use the simplified method and you're good to go. Cool. Yeah. Wow. See, you're learning something new every time you watch this show. That's my goal, to let you learn something new, meet new people, and engage with experts. Because listen, as entrepreneurs and business owners, we can't know everything. Please know that.
Right.
Know that you need an expert on your team. You need an expert to stand next to you. And Taryn is more than happy to do that. Taryn, when people are excited about meeting a new expert, they want to know how to reach them. So what's the best way for them to reach you?
Oh, you can call me, text me. You can reach out to me on my website. My website is TarynTaxPro.com. So you can, and that's Taryn, and you can reach me via email at Taryn Tax Pro. So that's probably the fastest way.
Now, do you have clients just in Texas, or can you, because you're federally supervised, you can do across the U.S.?
Yes, I have clients in many, many, many states. And I've been, for a couple of years now, I've been completely set up to be able to handle them virtually, where I have a portal where they can securely upload all their documents to my portal. I can send documents back to them through the portal. I can send them their tax return for them to review and electronically sign it and pay me all through the portal. So it's seamless and easy. Yeah, it happens. That's one thing that has to happen when you do tax return. I got bills to pay too.
Right. So I understand you have some really great ways that you give back, right? You have some workshops, some trainings. Talk a little bit more about that, and how do you give back to the community?
Oh, wow. There's lots of things that I love to do as far as the community goes. I love my church. I love my church family. I love to help them out. I have several of my fellow church goers that are clients of mine, and I love them for that. My church is actually a client of mine. They're a free client. I give it to them for free, but I still, handle that. And they came to me as a paying client, and then I stopped charging them. So that's how that goes. But and I'm very, very active with the American Business Women's Association, that has a couple of different ways that we give back, multiple ways every year, depending on which league we're with. And we also have a scholarship fund through the American Business Women's Association, and that I donate to and that I help with fundraising for. Really anything that sits on my heart. I help a dog rescue in Maybank, Texas, that I love to help out anytime that they need something. I've gone out there and walked dogs and flea dipped dogs and mucked out kennels and all kinds of fun stuff. But I think it's really important to give our young people, to mentor our young people. In high school, they don't teach you finances. They don't teach you taxes. They don't teach you how to save for the future. That stuff wasn't taught to me when I was in high school or even in college. I had to learn the hard way, and and really learned probably a lot more than the average person because of the industry that I'm in. So my goals are to do workshops specifically for teaching our college age students about investing, about tax preparation, and about budgets. And I have also worked with the YWCA and their financial empowerment program to teach young families how to save and improve their credit, save for the future, for school, or to buy a home, and work on budgeting. So that's that lays heavy on my heart. It's something that's important to me, because I was a single mom with small children and doing the best that I could, that we lived day by day by day. And the choices that I made enabled me to stay home with my children and still bring in a hefty salary, a good salary where I could raise my children and be a single mom and be home. And so I know that there's so many families out there that can't. There's so many moms out there that, despite, whatever their situation is, they can't be home with their kids, but daycare is so expensive.
Yeah.
And so sometimes children are in not so safe places because the moms have to do what they have to do to put food on the table and to take care of the children. And so, this, in the spring, I like to bring in interns, and sometimes they're from schools and sometimes they are single moms, so that I can teach them bookkeeping, basic bookkeeping. Every company needs a basic bookkeeper. Yeah. And not all of them can afford me, because I won't work for $20 an hour anymore. Not that I'm the most expensive, but we need to work with the businesses and the ways that they, at their budget as well. So if I can train a single mom to work at home on QuickBooks Online and to handle a book of business as a couple of, clients and bring in that extra little bit of money, it's better than selling Avon.
That's right. That's right.
So.
And you're setting them up for future success. So if somebody is interested in starting a business, there's a lot that goes into it. Do you offer consultations on how to get started in a business, what they need to do, maybe QuickBook trainings and things like that?
Yeah, so I offer a free consultation first off. I'll talk with you either on the phone or in person. And so that's the first thing. If we're going to dive into your specific situation and some specific things for you personally, where I'm literally training you on how to set up your business, then we'll get into some consulting fees. But I always tell my clients up front what they're going to be paying so that there's never a sticker shock. They know exactly what they're getting into when they start to work with me. So, and I think that that's important for small businesses because they have budgets, they know how much they can spend. And so we need to work within those parameters. But yes, I absolutely do help businesses set up, everything that they might need, whether it's an LLC, whether it's, their books in a manner that they're going to be able to maintain or to have somebody else maintain, whatever the case may be. We also need to talk about what their vision is, because again, like I talked about with staying in your lane, you have to know where you want to go. You have to drive your car the right way. If you're not going in the right direction, you're not going to get where you want to go, right? So we have to talk about that too, about their business viability and what they can expect as far as income or losses in the years to come.
So the workshops and the trainings that you offer for teens and adults, QuickBooks, setting up different things, where can people get information about that, like the schedule? Where do they find that?
On the website would be the best thing to go to my website, and you'll see future offerings, future things that are going on, and also to be able to set up consultation or to reach out to me, and I'll tell you what we've got going on that would best suit your needs.
Awesome. Well, that's really great. And so once again, remember, if you've got questions or comments for Taryn, be sure to put them in the box right down below there. She's going to engage with you over the next couple of days, but you can always put them there. She'll be tagged for updates, but you can also reach out to her on her website at TarynTaxPro.com. Reach out. Do you want to give your phone number, or
Sure,
do you just
I can.
email?
Yeah, it's 214-226-5838. So that's 214-226-5838.
And your email again?
Taryn, Taryn, at TarynTaxPro.com.
Awesome. Well, I've really enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun. Taxes isn't something that most people are excited about, but I'm really glad that you are, because we all have to know where to go and give that stuff over to somebody who knows what they're doing. And so I'm really grateful you came on to share your story with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate the time. And, we all have to pay taxes, but there's no law that we have to leave a tip. Right?
I love that. And that's so true. Why give them more than they deserve?
Right.
So real quick before we go, I'd like to ask every guest to give our audience a golden nugget or a nugget of wisdom, something that they've learned along their journey that can help and inspire and put hope back in the hearts of those listening. So as they go along their entrepreneurial journey. So what would you say is a good wisdom nugget for them?
Wow, there's so many I can think of, but let me try to make something brief. So I think that it's really important for entrepreneurs to find their passion, live their passion, and to make sure that all of their business decisions and their business, especially in times of growth, or even in times of challenge, where you're thinking, what can I do to make this bigger, better, whatever, make sure that at all times your business decisions match your vision, match your brand, if you will, that they match who you are and who you want to be in business.
That is the best advice I've heard in a long time. So very good. Thank you so much for that. And I hope that it encourages you. And I hope that you continue to stay in touch with us here at Dunham Business Radio. And listen, if you would like to hear a particular topic or hear from a particular expert, please let us know, because like I said in the beginning, this show is for you. It's my gift back to you. And if you want to be a guest on the show, we'd love to hear from you. Just drop us an email at DunhamBusinessRadio@gmail.com and we'll be in touch. And until next week, everyone, stay on top of the world.
Thanks for listening to the Dunham Business Radio Show. Be sure to follow us at Dunham Business Radio and check out DunhamBusinessRadio.com for more info.
I'm on top of the world, now I'm living, and the good just gets better, keeps on giving. Not even close to the end, it's just beginning. Life is getting lighter while the days are getting